KNA table right here on Kenya News Alerts TV, where we talk about matters governance and matters politics, who did what, where, when, why, and how. And as usual, every single day, we never fail to ask the question, how much money more or less is going to be spent by the government, as well as how much more or less are you as a taxpayer going to incur. And I'm joined by Emmanuel Bosirio, who helps us, or who will help us analyze some of the topics that we are discussing right here on the K&A table. But meanwhile, feel free to interact with us on the comment section. Most definitely, it is a very open space. Give us your opinions as well as your comments on things that we're going to be talking about, most definitely. And we're looking forward to having a healthy and fruitful discussion right here on the K&A table. Now, starting us off, of course, we know Kenyans for the longest time have been complaining about the current government, same to the opposition, same to some leaders. Some, of course, expressing their dissatisfaction with how the government is being run so far, expressing their dissatisfaction with how matters are actually going on. And some are also saying kudos to the government for what it's doing so far. But in all this, the deputy president, that is Gachagua, has gone ahead to urge some people, or to urge Kenyans, to give the president time, so that because we are going to see the fruits of his work. So let's just listen first of all to Gachagua, alafu tunarudi.
Because the high-level visits by the president has anchored Kenya as a safe state, as a destination for tourism and investment. And those are good signs already they are showing. So I want to ask for patience. Let us allow the president and his government time, and within a short time, you'll be able to see the fruits of the various economic interventions that he has put into place. Mimi nataka kusema uchaguzi uliisha. The president and I are magnanimous in victory. Wale tuliwashinda, hakuna mtu tunafuata, hakuna mtu tunakemea, hakuna mtu tunapiga. Sisi tunasema wale ambaye tuliwashinda wakuje zote tuungane tupeleke Kenya mbele. You know? Hata wewe Dennis nimekuona, kuja tufanye kazi ndugu yangu. Hakuna maneno kama. Akina Sabina walikuja, kuja tukunywe chai tufanye kazi pamoja. This is our country. This is our country. Hata nilisema President Uhuru Kenyatta ni mtoto wetu hapa Kiambu. Our president. Wanne. Tulikuwa na shida na yeye. Todo eda gocio na ithuĩ twendaga haha. Ithuĩ to nginya tũngĩakĩhĩtanirie. Lakini sio maneno imeisha. Sasa yeye ameretire, ameenda kwake, amenyamaza, na sisi tunampatia heshima yake kama rais wa Kenya. Aendelee kupumzika na sisi tufanye kazi yetu. And there is nobody who has any problem with anybody. Hata huyu mzee wa kule amenyamaza. Sasa akinyamaza iko haja ya kufuata yeye. That's why you don't talk about him. Lakini akiamuka tunaamuka na yeye. Lakini si amenyamaza. Yeah, you know now hakuna maandamano, hakuna kelele, so we are okay. You know, the president and I are magnanimous in victory. And we are saying even those who Christians, and we must move forward. We want everybody to come, we work together. Because this is our country, and there is strength in unity. When people work together, they succeed. Finally, ndio nianze kuchukua pesa. The president and I are very clear that we must mentor young leaders and prepare them for leadership.
Yeah, of course, that was Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And we've seen each and every place that he actually goes to. Number one, he never fails, of course, to praise the president. Let's start from there. Number two, he never fails to talk about the future. That is terming Ruto, of course, as the future. And number three, like as if right now, he's part of the government. Earlier on, he had discussed how, or we had seen some of the roles that he put on himself. But now, when it comes to giving people time, or giving the president time, Gachagua stating that we're actually going to see, or we're going to reap the fruits or the benefits of the work that the president is doing. And so far, we've had nothing but complaints in the country, Kenya. Um, do you see or do you foresee a place sooner or later where we are going to see probably positive fruits of what the current government is actually doing?
First, to begin with, is true. At times, good things can take time.
No.
And I don't want to be a government sympathizer today, but to add more of what the deputy president is saying, that when they are going to be given time, they're able to roll out their programs. Governance in most cases deals with long-term projects, and their medium projects and their emergency projects. So if an emergency happened, just like we had COVID-19 an emergency, and we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta then bringing in measures to counter the emergency. And you find out that in most cases, governance programs will be taking 2 to 3 years for them to be completed. In most cases, with the Kenyans lacking patience, they will want to say that the government is not working.
No.
And again, with the media, the media at times can play a significant role in building all this strength. At times, the media can brand the government as that it has not done anything. Whereas, if you see what the government has done, we can say at times it has tried compared to other governments in their first times. This is the governance of William Ruto that is facing a lot of challenges. First, the opposition never believed and gave him time to be the president. So it took them almost a year to convince the opposition and their supporters that indeed I won, and please give me time to deliver. So President Ruto and his entire team given time, of which they will always be given time for 5 years. And then when if the 5-year term come to an end, and then we'll have a comprehensive story as Kenyans, whether to re-elect them or to try someone else. Yeah.
And most definitely, when you talk even about development and giving time, of course, over the weekend, you saw how Kenyans actually criticized the current government as well as politicians, of course, in Kenya generally. After, I'm sure you saw what Mr. Beast did in Kenya, building the 52 wells, of course, electricity, issuing laptops and all that, stating that obviously Kenyans came out to question the kind of government that we have, because if the man is able to accomplish that much, for example, in a foreign country as a foreigner, then that means that the systems in place are actually not working, or there is a problem in the systems. Did you come across?
No, at times, systems are always corrupt. You find out you are inheriting a system from the former regime that maybe used it as a tool to make money. So you can inherit a system that works, not all that fail. So in as much we are living in a country that we don't have believe in good accountability and transparency in offices, especially the public offices. You find out deals are done and 1 or 2 people becomes billionaires in a very short period of time. So it can be very possible, like Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto promised laptops, and at the end of the day, Kenyans narrowed down to William Ruto. He's the one who was saying Uhuru Ruto governance promised the stadiums. At the end of the day, they narrowed down to William Ruto. So at times, I don't know how to put it, but in politics, at times it needs you to be very strict to what system you are employing. So if you employ like now, President Ruto has a system. You see the cabinet secretaries running up and down. You're seeing Moses Kuria, you're seeing Chir again, and many others trying to defend the systems that they inherited now that they're in 1 year plus. So they need to make sure that the systems don't fail them. Yeah.
And most definitely, I don't know what you guys' reaction is, of course, to this particular story that we are handling. Should the government be given more time? And of course, what do you feel, or what do you think the government is going to accomplish with this time that it has been given? So, of course, we've seen them put measures in place. We've seen the promises. We've seen the projects that on the way, but is it something that is going to be accompanied? Are we going to see the cost of living better? Are we going to see housing, employment as promised, as well as the healthcare sector also being improved, just as a promise, of course, in the uh, Kenya Kwanza manifesto? And speaking of healthcare, we saw the Right Honorable Raila Odinga at the coast, of course, together with the Mombasa governor, that is Abdul Swamad. And this is during the flagging, of course, of some medicine as well as medical staff to different hospitals in that particular county. And of course, we had Abdul Swamad talk about the issue of health, which is something, or which is a mandate, of course, of every governor as well as every Kenyan leader, whether of the opposition or of the ruling party or of the sitting party. As well as in it, we had the opposition leader, that is Raila Odinga, of course, give some sentiments or give some remarks. One, in regards to the health sector, and two, also in regards to what is happening or what we are possibly foreseeing for ODM. So wacha tusikize Raila alafu tunarudi.
Ya kuwa tutakuwa na ile facility improvement sisi tumekuwa nayo kitambo. Na sasa every facility, pesa ile inaingia from NHIF will not be going to the county revenue, itaenda kwa ile facility yenyewe ili facility iweze kujiboresha. Katika hospitali hii kitu ambao kwamba tunataka kufanya immediately, kuna mashine ya x-ray ambao kwamba tutaweza kufanya sisi wenyewe kama county, and we are changing the infrastructure iwe ni ya kisasa, pamoja kuwe na ukuta. Kila sub-county katika Mombasa iwe na hospitali ambayo itafanya kazi masaa 24, tuweze kupunguza ile pressure pale katika coast. Kisha nisipoongea hivyo excellency, itakuwa nimewadhulumu hao waungwana, kwa sababu nilipozunguka baadhi yao walilalamikia, na lalamishi lenyewe ni kwa pengine kuna mfanyakazi mmoja wawili ambao kidogo wamezembea hapa na pale.
Mpango ya kugawanya sasa, nimeongea na gavana pale ndani kwa ofisi. Hiyo ndio kazi ya serikali ya county, na mimi nina furaha sana kuona vile kazi inafanyika. Juzi ile shirika kampuni inaitwa Infotrak imefanya kura ya matokeo hiyo. Mimi nimeongea na mkurugenzi wa kule Infotrak, inaonyesha kwamba magavana wa kushinda wale pande lingine. Tukio imenifurahisha kabisa. Lakini ningependa kuambia, tunataka kuona kama watu wetu wanapata huduma sawa sawa. Hata wale wengine wa pande lingine wa UDA, mimi ningependa kama wao vile vile wangeima. Nyinyi bado mko na shida mingi zaidi, si mnaumia zaidi, lakini mimi najua shida vile iko wanashughulikia. Nataka kutoa Shukrani sana kwa kijana wangu Abdul Samad kwa kazi mzuri timu yake. Vile vile natekeleza wajibu wake badala ya kusema maneno tupu domo kaya. Domo maneno matamu sio chakula. Wananchi wengine wanalala njaa bila chakula chochote. Ndio sababu mimi nimewaambia wana jukumu ya kutekeleza wajibu yao badala ya kuzuru hapa na pale kutangatanga na maneno ya porojo porojo. Hiyo ni maneno mengine. Sasa vile nyinyi mko hapa Mombasa, sisi kama Azimio tumesimama imara. Na tumesema hatuwezi kwenda kufanya mkataba yoyote ambaye haitaweka mambo ya huduma ya wananchi juu kabisa. Alafu yale ingine vile vile ifanyike, kukagua mambo kama sawa na kadhalika. Si sawa namna hiyo? Si sawa namna hiyo? Sasa tunasema hiyo mpaka ikome. Wacha mambo ya kupiga watoto na kina mama ambayo hawana hatia. Na tumesema serikali ya Kenya mpaka ichukue msimamo. Bwana Ruto amekaa kimya. Alitoa taarifa nasema wale wa Palestina vile vile ni binadamu. Ni sababu tumemwambia Bwana Ruto wewe na msimamo kama ile ya bara ya Afrika, umoja ya bara ya Afrika AU imetoa taarifa wale wa Palestina ambao wanauawa kiholela na serikali dhalimu ya Israeli. Takbir! Takbir! Asanteni sana. Asanteni.
Now, Raila Odinga, you see, wants to be on a red carpet with a microphone to address Kenyans. So if you want Raila Odinga to be your friend, what you are needed to do, a red carpet, a great audience, and a good microphone. And we tell us the history. Like we've heard him talk about devolution and the role of devolution. And for true, devolution has done a lot of improvement to the health sector. You know, the devolved sector from the national government include health sector. The teachers refused. Now, no teachers read a lot. So they foresaw the challenges they will overcome. So when the devolution was coming, they said they will not be devolved. But the health sector was devolved. But there are counties that are doing best. Like Mombasa is having a high birth rate. It's having many children coming to the world. And when children come, they need good health care. They need good medicine. They need a good system. It's talking about what the president launched the other day about NHIF being separated and health sectors itself having funds that are for development. You know, in most cases, you find out that hospitals are in bad status. You find out in as much there could be medicine, you find out that they are not developed. You find out maybe renovation was done long time ago. So this facility that I was talking about will help the government and will help improve the health sector. You go to an hospital and you feel that this one, I'm in a dispensary, I'm a level 4 hospital, I'm a level 5 hospital, these are referral hospital, these are private hospital. So you find out that in most cases, private hospitals always will supersede the public hospitals. Because with public offices, there is corruption, there's a lack of honesty and transparency. But those are some of the things you've seen him address. More importantly, you can see still he's trying to, I don't know if you are keen with politicians. So if a politician goes to a particular region, the opposition will go there. You see, the president was in Coast just before the Luo festival was being held in Coast. The president there, so he came out. Raila is there. So this is how politics is always done. You must maintain your followers all times. If you go and sleep 2 or 3 days, you lose them and you have nothing to do. Yeah.
And of course, most definitely, there's plenty that we have seen happening. And nakumbuka juzi, while the president and the deputy president were actually in Coast, the deputy president directed or gave a request to the governor, that is wakati ambapo pia wengine wanakuja utetee rais jinsi unavyo mtetea akiwa hapa. But once again, I could say the opposition so far is actually actively playing its role in trying to keep the government in check. And most definitely, I remember...
No, before you go far, I don't think if you're saying the right thing. No. That's not opposition. That's political friendship.
Yes.
Between the governor and Raila Odinga. That's not much of keeping the government in check.
I'm saying generally in politics in Kenya.
At the moment, we don't have opposition.
Oh, we do have opposition.
No, we don't have opposition.
What is Azimio la Umoja? What is
ODM? We don't have opposition.
What is Raila's title in Kenya?
Raila lost election.
Atu Jakarta?
Yes, that's what we told you.
What is Raila's title in
lost
Kenya?
Election.
What is Raila's title in Kenya?
Former Prime Minister.
Opposition leader.
No.
Raila Odinga. Okay,
Raila.
who is the opposition in Kenya?
We don't have opposition.
So how is our system running? How is our country running? Who is keeping the government in check?
No one else. The church, the clergy, which was supposed to keep the government in check, you saw they're saying, give the government time. The civil servants, whom we expected to be always keeping the government in check, since the time of Mike Kibaki, when it was being pocketed, up to the moment, we don't have. The opposition, which you are saying, which should be doing its role, that it was given by losing an election, they have been pocketed by the president. Do we have demonstration anymore?
We have the bipartisan talks instead.
No, the bipartisan talks have pocketed the opposition.
Does demonstrations now qualify opposition actually working?
Yes, then it seemed to be working. People were coming out and the government was trembling and they had to call them to the talks. The talks have been buying the time for opposition. And they have been promised that Raila is going to be official opposition leader. And he's going to get a lot of money. He's going to get opportunities to address Kenyans.
So there is opposition.
No, we don't have.
But you're contradicting your statement, Emmanuel.
What I'm saying, in as much we have Raila Odinga as the opposition, he's not doing his opposition role at the moment. That's what I mean. Okay. They have been pocketed. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'd also love to get your opinions out there. Is the opposition actually doing its work, or all of them, as Emmanuel phrases it, have been pocketed by the current government? Now, speaking of pocketing and speaking of siasa in Kenya, of course, we know the question that is lingering in Kenya's mind, because it's something that we have heard over and over and over for the past few months, is about the Mount Kenya region coming as one, or the unification of the Mount Kenya region. This is a cry or a statement that the deputy president has made time from time. This is a statement that we have had Maina Njenga also make from time to time. This is a statement that we've had other leaders, of course, from the Lima region make from time to time about the unification of the Mount Kenya region. And also the question of who is going to inherit the Mount Kenya kingpinship, which is a discussion that we had earlier on today. That is on Ask Siasa. So in case you missed out on it, you can just head over to Ask Siasa's today's video and be part of the discussion as well as contribute to it. But before that, we've had Maina Njenga talk about a couple of things, his reason or his push to bringing together the leaders of the Mount Kenya region. And I'm talking about all of them, despite their political party, despite which party they support, or despite which party they were elected in. Now, let's listen to Maina Njenga and then Twarudi.
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, habari yako?
Nzuri sana. Asante sana kwa kutualika hapa.
Yeah.
Nashukuru.
Hata mimi nashukuru.
Yes.
Nafanya jambo la muhimu.
Labda ujiintroduce kwa wale ambao wanakuona for the first time.
Kwa wale wananiona for the first time. Mimi naitwa Mheshimiwa Maina Njenga ambaye ni Chairman and CEO wa Amani Sasa Foundation. Na pia mimi ni Bishop katika kanisa la Hope International. Nimekuwa nikifunza watu maneno ya kuenda mbinguni. Lakini pia mimi ni mwanasiasa. Niko na siasa za mlima wa Kenya, niko na siasa za Kenya mzima, niko na timu hii yetu ya Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, tukiwa na Raila Amolo Odinga na viongozi wote, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua na viongozi wote wa kitaifa. Kwa hivyo nasema mimi niko hapa Kenya na niko hapa Kenya kwa sababu ya wananchi wa Kenya. Kuhakikisha ya kwamba wanaishi katika maisha mazuri. Tumekuwa katika kutetea hawa watu, tumefanya maandamano Kenya, na baada ya kufanya maandamano tumekuja tukafika katika hii maneno ya dialogue na kamati ya kitaifa ya maridhiano na amani imeshakaa chini, na sasa wale watu wa Kenya Kwanza wamechagua watu 7, wale watu wa Azimio watu 7. Tunangojea uamuzi na hii matokeo ya hii maongezi ili tuone mwelekeo wa Kenya itakuwa namna gani. Ningeuliza wa Kenya wote ambao wananisikiliza wakati wa sasa, wapee hii kamati nafasi ya kuongea. Na hiyo nafasi ya kuongea ni muhimu sana. Kamati si ya Raila, si ya Ruto, si yangu, si yako. Kamati ni ya nchi ya Kenya. Na nchi ya Kenya italete uamuzi mwema, na ile matokeo ambayo itatokea hapo katika hiyo uamuzi, Wakenya tunawauliza wakubaliana na hiyo matokeo kwa sababu itakuwa matokeo ya Kenya.
Na, tumeona kumekuwa na mjadala mkubwa sana kwa mlima.
Yes.
Ambao ni watu wamekuwa wakisema mlima hauko pamoja.
Yes.
Na tumeona kwa kikubwa haja yako wewe kama mwanasiasa kutoka kwa mlima una haja sana kuleta wa Kenya wa mlima pamoja.
Yes.
Kutoka kwa Central, kwa Kikuyu, kwenda Embu, kwenda Meru.
Yes.
Yote ni mlima. Na tunaona unataka kuwaleta pamoja. Haswa agenda yako ni ipi kwa kuwaleta pamoja, ama unataka kufanyaje ili kuweza kuwaleta pamoja?
Mimi nimesimama hapa nikiwa mwana Kenya ambaye anapenda nchi yake. Nimetazama nchi ya Kenya nikaona kuna umaskini mwingi sana, na ninaona ninaweza kushirikiana na Wakenya ili tuondoe umaskini huu. Na ndio maana nimekueleza ya kwamba hata kabla serikali ikuje itusaidie, itabidi hata sisi tuingie mashinani. Si kila siku unalialia serikali. Hata wewe uko na mikono na uko na akili. Huwezi kataa kulima shamba yako alafu ufikirie chief ama dio ama nani atakuja kukulimia shamba yako. Hata nyinyi vijana lazima muamke. Na ningetaka kuambia Wakenya, tumejiingiza sana tukiwa vijana katika unywaji wa pombe, dawa za kulevya, na kutokuwa na hii maneno ya kufanya kazi. Tunakataa kazi. Tunakataa kutii wazazi wetu. Na wazazi ndio tunachukua baraka kutoka kwao. Ningetaka kuambia vijana, anza kutii wazazi wako, anza kutii marafiki wako, wale ambao wako na mawaidha mazuri, ili tuweze kushirikiana. Number 1, ile kitu ya muhimu sana katika nchi, lazima nchi iwe na amani. Kama nchi haina amani, ujue hakuna maendeleo inaweza patikana hapo. Lazima tuweke amani kila nchi, kila area, popote ambapo tunaenda tuweke amani. Number 2, sisi tuwe na upendo. Kama sisi tutakuwa na upendo na tuko na amani, na tuko kitu kimoja, katika mlima wote, hata wale watu wako huko Rift Valley, wale wako Mombasa, wale wako Kambani, wataweza kuiga mfano wetu. Nataka niwaambie kitu kimoja. Tukiangalia hapo tunaona kuna huyu kiongozi wetu ambaye amekuwa rais juzi, anaitwa President William Ruto. Ameunganisha Rift Valley yote ikawa kitu kimoja. Watu wa Rift Valley wanaongea na sauti moja. Na ninampatia hongera kwa hiyo kazi amefanya hivi. Angalia baba, akiwa huku upande wa Lake Victoria, ameunganisha Wajaruo wote na wote wanaongea kwa sauti moja. Na baba, tunakushukuru sana kwa hiyo kazi unafanya. Angalia kiongozi Kalonzo Musyoka ambaye yako hapa na Wiper yake. Hiyo ni Wiper, hiyo ni ODM, hiyo ni UDA. Na ukiangalia utaona wale viongozi wamefanya kazi mzuri sana. Na wameongoza sehemu zao vizuri. Na huo umoja ndio umefanya nchi yao ikuwe na maendeleo. Tunawauliza watu wa mlima, wacheni vita, wacheni uchochezi, wacheni madharau, wacheni kiburi. Viongozi, kujeni pamoja. Achaneni na tofauti zenyu za chama. Kama ulichaguliwa na UDA, ulichaguliwa na sijui na Azimio nini, achaneni na hizo maneno ya tofauti ya vyama. Sasa tutafutane kinyumbani. Sisi tunaongea lugha ambayo inasikizana, tutafutane kijumbani, tuongee na wale hata watu wako nje watatuona na watatufikiria vizuri, ili kama kuna jambo lolote litakuja. Maagano ama masikizano ya watu wa Rift Valley, ya watu wa huko Kisumu, ya watu wa Mombasa, sisi tutakuwa tumeweka nyumba yetu vizuri, ili yule ataka kuongea na sisi aongea, akuja aongee na mlima ikiwa sawa. Yes, kumechaguliwa viongozi katika Mount Kenya, lakini wale viongozi wamechaguliwa na wakanyamaza. Maneno yote ikifanyika wananyamaza. Hii wakati walikutana hapo Sagana, instead ya kuongea kuhusu one man, one vote, one shillings, wananyamaza. Wanasema kuhusu counties ziongezwe. Sisi hatuna haja na counties, tuna haja na constituency. Kwanza sisi huko Laikipia tunataka constituency kama mbili ziongezwe. Kuwe na kitu inaitwa Nyahururu constituency na Central constituency. Hizo mbili kuwe na wabunge 5. Na hiyo izidi kugawanywa hivyo. Na unajua mbunge anakuja na milioni 100, bilioni 100. Tulikuwa tunaomba sisi kama wana Azimio tupate wabunge 70. Hiyo ni kumaanisha ya kwamba hiyo ni more than 7 billion zimeongezeka. Sisi hatutaki maneno kujua nani anatawala, nani anafanya hivi. Tunataka kuona pesa ile tuko naye iko wapi. Biashara yetu inaendelea wapi. Kenya si lazima itawaliwa na Mkikuyu, si lazima itawaliwe na ukoo. Sisi tunasema tunataka utawala, na tunataka nafasi mzuri ya kufanya biashara zetu, kufanya bidii yetu, kufanya michezo yetu, kama tunataka kutembea, tunatembea nchi zingine, na tuwe na maneno mazuri. Hapo zamani nimesikia watu wakisema ya kwamba viongozi kadha wa kadha wamesema ati tuko na 30% ya ile kazi tuko nayo. Mimi nikiangalia hivi ninaona kama tuko na 20%. Na ningeomba rais wa Kenya ambaye ni William Samoei Ruto, hii kazi ya watu wa mlima. Watu wa mlima walikuchagua na kura nyingi sana. More than 2 million votes zilitoka hapa kwa mlima. Na hata sisi wa marafiki zetu walikusaidia. Hata kama sisi hatukukupea kura. Na wale walikupea kura na wale hawakukupea kura. Hii ni wakati wa watu wakuje pamoja, kuacha tofauti zote, tuongee maneno ya mlima. Na hiyo sauti moja ndio itatusaidia. Hiyo umoja ndio itatusaidia. Unity is strength.
Saizi kuna vita kati ya nani atakuwa king.
Yes.
Na labda kivyako tu, maana hiyo ndio jambo ambalo linaweza kuleta watu wa mlima pamoja. Kivyako unaonaje mambo ya nani kingpin, nani ndio si kingpin, hiyo inarudisha nyuma kama jamii ama
ile kitu ya muhimu kwa sasa si kufikiria nani atakuwa kingpin. Ile kitu ya maana ni umoja wa nchi, ni upendo wa nchi na vile watu watakuja pamoja. Ningetaka nikupatie maneno mazuri, na maneno mazuri inatoa nyoka pangoni. Si kuongea maneno ya nani atakuwa nani hajakuwa. Ile kitu sasa mimi nimeanza kusimama naye ni umoja, na yule atakaye kuunganisha watu wote pamoja na kuwaonyesha upendo na kuwaonyesha njia, huyo ndio kiongozi ambaye atakuwa kingpin wa Mount Kenya. Na kwa sasa tuko mbioni kuwaleta pamoja wote, na ninaamini mwisho kabisa mimi nitakuwa nikimaliza hii kazi, maana wengine wote sioni kama kunaye yako tayari. Wengine wako biashara zao nini na nini, na mimi niko tayari kushikana na watu wa mlima, kuwaonyesha njia, kuwajulisha tunaenda wapi, tunatoka wapi, na kuwafunza maneno ya biashara ili tusimame imara kama mlima. Uko na swali lingine?
Juzi chairman,
yes,
ulifanya mahojiano na runinga moja.
Yes.
Kama kwamba hivi karibuni uta launch your own party.
Yes.
Labda kuna mpango wa chairman maybe 2027 au 2032 kuendelea mama urais.
Unajua nimekuambia Rift Valley iko na UDA. Wajaluo wako na ODM. Wakamba wako na Wiper. Hata hapa mlima lazima kuwe na unity ya chama. Lazima tuwe na unity of purpose. Kwa sasa sitaki kuambia itakuwa namna gani, lakini itabidi tukutane sisi wote sehemu zote ili tujadiliane, tuone itakuwa ni nini, lakini nitawatangazia hivi karibuni vile kutakuwa, kwa sababu sasa tunaongea wazee, wasichana, wamama na hata watu wa kanisa na watu wa biashara, tuone tunatoka na jina gani, lakini naamini ya kwamba itatoka jina moja.
Swali la mwisho tukimalizia.
Yes.
Nani ndio kingpin
saizi waja tuseme hii mambo ya kingpin, Uhuru hajarisaini hii kiti. Wakati Uhuru amekuja hapo akafanyika kingpin, kulifanyika sherehe kubwa sana ya kusema huyu ndiye. Lakini sasa ni lazima sherehe ingine kubwa kama hiyo ifanyike, ili tujue ni nani anashikilia mlima vizuri. Wote ambao wako na tamaa ya kushikilia mlima waje kwenye mkutano. Wananchi ndio watakaamua na Mungu wao. Sio kazi yangu kuamua. Ikiwa ni wengine ni sawa, ikiwa ni sisi ni sawa, lakini tunaomba, kila mtu anaomba kivyake.
Now, of course, that is Maina Njenga speaking on a lot of things. Most of them being, of course, the kingpinship of the Mount Kenya region, stating that whoever shows interest or the kind of meeting that they're going to have is actually to try and figure out who has the best interest from Limam Kenya, number one. And number two, he's touched on very key things, that is peace, love, and unity of the nation. Now, a question that is raised so far is that, first of all, we saw possibility, or Maina Njenga has from time to time expressed the possibility of him becoming the kingpin of Mount Kenya region. But now he's actually talking about that is not an issue. The issue is peace, love, and unity of the country. Is it probably a game that they're trying to play on us? Number two, this unification of the Mount Kenya region. We know for the longest time, or Gachagua had expressed his interest in actually meeting with Uhuru Kenyatta, for example. And Uhuru Kenyatta is going to be present for this particular meeting that is happening for Lima Kenya region. Could that possibly be the best platform or a planned platform for this particular two people to actually meet and talk about, number one, how to head forward or how to lead Mount Kenya region, and also number two, to try and put their differences on the table?
You said I'll ask that one, but first, we have a big issue as Kenyans. So far about kingship issues. You find out that we as a country, we find out that we have politics of deceit. You saw President Ruto, Uhuru promising Ruto 10 years, but it did not really support him. And maybe let's talk about after the elections now, the political developments in Mount Kenya. Maina Njenga used to be there. After all, he went into silence. Again, he has started to come as a mobilizer. So by the end of the year, you'll not be surprised. Okay, you might, but me, I might not be surprised to see them all again united. They all be united again. You know, the secret behind them is that they always, in most cases, have one voice regarding politics. You've seen Moses Kurio with him, and Moses Kurio is a man in mission. Moses Kurio is very instrumental in uniting people. Moses Kurio again can reunite Uhuru Kenyatta, who said who should be going to Gatundu to rest. So they can again reunite, and the goodness with politics is that it's being acted upon, something that's planned. So when people are expecting, maybe they come the end of the year to announce maybe Maina Njenga as the kingpin, and they say it's regarding Gachagua, and the people will be like, how did this happen? So the politics of Mount Kenya region, those people, it's very difficult for you to understand them. What they plan today, you don't see. They've seen 10 years to come. They've seen inheritance. They've seen how will it come back home. How will it come back home? Let's support this gentleman for the next 10 years. Come again 2032. We are bringing this thing home.
And of course, in that same spirit, he applauded number one, President William Ruto, for holding the Rift Valley region together, applauded Raila Odinga for holding his region together, also applauded Kalonzo Musyoka in that same spirit for holding his region together. Now, there's one thing that Maina Njenga has stated, and it's the fact that you cannot wait ama uwezi kuwa na shamba lako kisha ungoje chief aje akulimie shamba lako, saying that of course as Kenyans we are supposed to help ourselves, we're supposed to act out, we're supposed to not like wait for the government to do things for us, or better yet, some things that we can do for ourselves. Does that number one purport that of course the systems in place, which is inclusive, of course, of all elected, all nominated members, are actually not working to an extent that now Kenyans have to kujisaidia? Because we've seen the same thing with, for example, youth groups. If you go to maybe some regions, some slum areas, for example, or even some estates and all that, you find that there's always that group that handles or that pushes for things to happen in that particular region, because now the system in place has maybe, let's say for example, like failed to actually do what it was mandated to do.
Yeah, what he was trying to say is he was trying to see the advantages of unity. The people for Rift Valley are united, and we from Mount Kenya United, we are divided. We cannot beat them. The people from Nyanza are united. We from Mount Kenya region, we are divided. We cannot beat them. So let's come together.
Okay. And of course, most definitely, we are emphasizing the message that Maina Njenga, of course, has been talking about, setting the three important things: peace, love, and unity, which of course are even inclusive in our national anthem, and that is the way forward for all Kenyans, most definitely. And we are also still eagerly looking forward to the meeting incorporating all the Lima Kenya leaders that is going to be happening in December. Of course, Njenga stated that the former president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, is going to be there. And most definitely, we are going to see what comes out of the meeting and if there will be unification in that particular region. Now, Kenyans have to brace for tough times ahead. That is a question that, or that is a statement that Kenyans have been hearing almost every single day in the news, almost every single day in the papers, because every single day you wake up, something new happens. Every single day you wake up, there are new reforms, of course, new taxation systems as well. Things changing, not only in the country, Kenya, but globally as well. And we saw during the bipartisan talks, that is the National Dialogue presentations, that the Energy CS actually stated or insinuated that we might see fuel going up to 300 Kenya shillings. And as usual, kama wa Kenya, the cry is serikali, serikali, serikali. Kenyans are currently crying, of course. And let's just listen to David before I even finish. Before I even finish what I want to say, and then to Narudi.
Thank you, Chair and Co-Chair and honorable members of this National Dialogue Committee. Thank you for inviting us. Let me confirm, honorable members, that we did receive the invitation dated 24th of October to appear before this National Dialogue Committee, and we have a written presentation which we have submitted. Chair, outside the formal presentation, let me say we're all concerned, particularly the Ministry of Energy, at the cost of living and energy being a major co-driver of inflation, because it is basically energy is employed in very many facets of our lives, from transportation to powering industry, and so on and so forth. So anything that impacts on the cost of energy impacts on the inflation and the cost of living. And therefore, we are, as you are, looking for ways every day to see how to bring down and make our economy a competitive destination for investors, where cost of living for our people who are employed in industry would be able to make this economy a competitive destination so that we can attract investors. Chair, let me say as opening remarks that the recent happenings, particularly the post-COVID recovery period, where we've seen inflation in economies like the US, Canada, soaring to a high of 9%, is something that is being seen maybe in the last, 22 years, where we see Fed raising interest from a low of 1.5% to a 5.4% today, and then therefore causing the challenge of dollar unavailability in that tightening of monetary policy, and us seeing, particularly in the petroleum sector, unavailability of dollars because investors find it better to have their dollars sitting in investments, cash deposits, as opposed to allowing them to trade. But that is basically a post-COVID recovery of the inflation, where the U.S. has decided to basically mop up the dollars they had issued during COVID to sustain their economies. And so that challenge is there. It's a global challenge. Those of us who trade in tea are unable to sell our tea in the international market because of unavailability of dollars in Pakistan, in Egypt, in Iran. And whereas we need those dollars to procure products which we don't produce as Kenya, like petroleum, pharmaceuticals, and all the other products. And lately, when we have a deficit in food because of the climate change issues and the fact that we have not been able to sustain food security, we need dollars to basically import food to sustain our people. And this has seriously impacted, and like I said, Energy, petroleum alone, honorable members, do have a requirement of 500 million US dollars on monthly basis. We import products into Kenya worth $500 million on monthly basis. We bring in 8 cargoes, 4 cargoes of diesel. A cargo is 80,000 metric tons. We bring in 4 cargoes of PMS, that is super petrol, and we bring in 1 cargo of DPK, dual purpose kerosene. And at a volume of about 750 cubic meters or meter cube, that is about $500 million every month. And to be able to, under the OTS system, honorable chairs, where the product will come into Kenya under OTS and be off-taken by the petroleum companies. Luckily, this product came off balance sheet. It is not traded by government. It is traded by the oil industry. And when it comes into the Kenya under the OTS system, what we do immediately is they have to off-take the product within 5 days. So you see a sacking of $80 million, $160 million because we receive 2 cargoes every 2 weeks. So we'll require to pay $160 million US dollar every week to be able to off-take 2 cargoes, and a cumulative of $500 million US dollar for the month. And that is why we had the late nomenclature of G2G, where we went into deferred issuance of LCs, which would service after 6 months. And what that entailed, Honorable Chair, was to basically say instead of paying for petroleum products on spot purchase every 5 days when the ship docks to Mombasa, on an LC that is issued and unwound immediately, let's go into relationship with governments who would understand the situations that we found ourselves in and do an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, do a framework agreement where we would bring products on deferred LCs that would service every 6 months, or every LC would be serviced at an age of 6 months, and that basically there will be no accumulation of paying 6 months ago, but paying as they mature for every cargo. And we did that, honorable members, to basically
Now, what Churchill Davis is saying here is that this war will bring a lot of effects again to the increased fuel price.
No.
So he's trying to estimate it. That's when to reach the energy needs. I'm imagining how it will be if Kenyans are going to. We want to pray that the effects of any war. When we have prolonged wars, the economy is going to be stranded. The shift is going to be moved from maybe the growth to controlling the war. We pray that it does not extend to other countries. And with peace, stability, economies is moving on better. So the Israel war has a lot of effects in the entire world.
No.
And that one might also see the fuel price move up. But again, the government should use other means as possible to ensure that the local Kenyans that suffer. Because Israel war that will not only affect Kenya, it will affect all
The whole
countries.
Yeah.
So we don't want to have a scenario where other countries, their economy still improves while we are using it as an excuse of not delivering on our promises. Yeah.
And most definitely, of course, that was the Energy CS trying to clarify, of course, the government's capacity to influence